Hello, Fleet Feet Running Club half and 10K programs. My apologies for the inclement weather that didn't happen on Saturday. In the Fleet Feet Running Club and Fleet Feet St. Louis, across the St. Louis area, our motto to serve our customers is keep them moving comfortably. We were under the impression that you were not going to be moving so comfortably both to and during Saturday. So we thought it was better to keep you safe at home. And then, of course, I wake up just like you, and not a whole lot of weather was at my doorstep. So my apologies. I did want to make this video. That way we can get on the same page in terms of what your training schedule is and how it is interpreted. So if you don't mind, take a few minutes and let me explain to you what that training schedule as well as table standard distance is and why I placed you in the groups that I did. So watch this at your convenience, but my hope is to watch it this week prior to our first meeting Tuesday, and of course I will be on site on Saturday to answer any questions, okay? So I kind of alluded to this in the email, but the topic of my discussion on Saturday was going to be that my job as a coach is to make you exhibit your best aerobic efforts in April during your half marathon or 10K. And so taking those three words, best aerobic effort, and breaking them down, I wanted to kind of look at the definition. First, let's look at best. Best, and of course I'm cheating on my computer here, best is of the most excellent, effective, or desirable type of quality, or as an adverb, of course, to the highest degree. Whether or not you're looking here or joined our club to either A, just simply complete the distance, or perhaps you're trying to compete the distance, either way, you want to put forth your best effort, your highest quality, the most desirable type. All right, so my goal as a coach is to give you your best effort. You might make that experience more enjoyable if you put your best aerobic effort forward. You might make it worth your while in terms of the a personal best. Or a personal record. And in that instance, that falls right under the best. So best is of the most excellent, effective, or desirable type of quality. Guys, let me tell you, as a coach, as a parent, I know a lot of you guys are parents out there. Sometimes, and I will say sometimes, as perhaps most of the time, what our kids think isn't in their best effort, we as adults most certainly do. So it may not make sense right here or now while how we're teaching our kids to behave, the morals, the ethics of the world, but us as experienced or older adults know. All right, so a lot of these things perhaps that I'm about to explain might be a little bit counterintuitive, to say the very least. However, I'm going to tell you I have your best interest at heart, even though I'm asking you to do something perhaps so different than what you've done in the past or how you've normally trained. All right, my best interest is your best interest. Not only me as a coach wants to be around the best of my athletes, but as a business, say it's Fleet Feet Running Club, wants to be known as the one that helps you get your personal best, keeping that best. All right, so best, I think we got. Let's move to aerobic. Best aerobic workout. Aerobic, relating to, involving, or requiring free oxygen. Okay? Or relating to or denoting exercise that improves or is intended to improve the efficiency of the body's cardiovascular system in absorbing and transporting oxygen. So one of the things, and this is usually what I say here, one of the things that I think runners do incorrectly is they think that they can actually train for a 5K, very similar they can train for a half marathon or vice versa, right? Now I realize running is running, okay? And I realize that everybody knows that you need to go faster in a half marathon than in a 5K, but let me tell you, it seems like people just try to hold the same effort and just hold it a little bit longer or try to go a little bit farther, okay? So one of the things that I want you guys to think about is a half marathon is not a 5K. A lot of you guys know that. The training that goes into a half marathon does not mimic, right? Does not mimic the training that goes into a 5K. It's called specificity. And the easier way to explain it is, but prior to me going to Fleet Feet, I actually trained in a sports performance facility. And in that, I did not train how to, a punt, a football, or putt a golf ball. But I did train the muscles that it took to not only keep you healthy, but to enhance your physical abilities, your athletic abilities. So as you guys can imagine, I'm not going to train a football player the same way I'm going to train a golfer, okay? It might have the same exercise there. I might have them do the same exercise, but the idea behind it, the topic behind it, the method behind that exercise is going to be completely different. The football player needs to be powerful, explosive, dynamic. Not to say a golfer doesn't, but that explosiveness needs to come in a rotational, and the sports are very different. So I want you guys to think of the exact same thing. Everything that we're trying to do here in terms of the Fleet Feet Running Club, both half and 10K, is to make sure that your aerobic system is key. All right, is the best player, is your strongest player, is your what I'll call ringer, all right? Something that you have that not everybody has around you in the thousands of runners. That is a half marathon and a 10K perhaps. So what I want you guys to focus is your best aerobic effort. Remember, my job here as a coach is to make sure that since you picked an endurance event, which is a 10K and half marathon, to make you an endurance athlete. So everything we try to do here is to make your aerobic system stronger. Okay, and then of course effort is a result of an attempt. Effort is physical and mental exertion. Rigorous is a determined attempt, of course, or effort is a determined attempt. I will say a couple different things. You get what you put out. All right, in terms of what efforts that you put into your training, you're going to get out of them, just like everything else in life. The other thing about it is your body is so adaptable. There are muscle fibers that literally are just intermittent muscle fibers that take on characteristics of the training you place before it. So in terms of the result of an attempt, this is where I really wanted to say that we train our bodies the way they are going to respond. Okay, it's almost like training a dog or whatever the case may be. They are going to do on game day the behaviors that they've trained for the entire way. So one of the things that I wanted to do is, again, we can't ask our aerobic system to be strong if we've trained anaerobically or too fast the entire training season. It's not going to happen. The effort that we put it forth in our training is going to be the effort that pays off come race day. So again, we need to make our training as specific as we possibly can. All right. So let's get to the training pace groups first. Okay. Now in your email, hopefully you have read so far down that you realize now what pace group that you are in. Okay. I'm going to pull up my table of standard distance here. Give me a quick little moment to find the exact tab that I have here. All right, a lot of you guys think, and I did as well, that if I'm going to run a 9-minute, or if I would like to run a 9-minute pace on race day, then that's the pace that I should be hitting. And unfortunately, that is not the case. Remember, we want to make your best aerobic effort. So my goal here is to try to keep you totally aerobic, easy effort, comfortable, talking, whatever the case may be, during your Saturday long runs. So if everybody or anybody is looking at that pace group thinking, gosh, I can run faster than that, my question or my answer to you be like, yeah, you should. You should be able to run way faster than that. Saturday is not the point or is not the place to be able to, size yourself up on how fast we can go. It's necessarily how far you can go and how comfortable that you are. Okay, so if I place you in the 8:30 pace group, All right, I expect that you run a 140, right? Low 140 marathon or half marathon, excuse me. Let's talk half marathoners here. That's about a 7:42 pace. All right, so I've slowed you down about a minute to an 8:30. If I placed you in the 9, I would expect you to do about a high 140. All right, 145, 150. That's running approximately an 8:10. So I put you in the 9-minute group, again, 60 seconds slower. My 9:30 groups are gunning for a 150. My 10-minute groups are gunning for a 157. My 10:30 is gunning for a 204. My 11s are gunning for a 211. My 11:30s are gunning for a 217. My 12s, 223. We have run walk groups, okay? So what 8-1 means is you're running 8 minutes at a 12-minute pace, walking for 1, all right? 8 minutes of running to 1 minute of walking is gunning for a 2:34 half marathon. 5-1, running 5 minutes at approximately a 12-minute mile is gunning for a 2:45. 3-1, running 3 minutes at approximately a 12-minute mile is gunning for a 2:55. A 1-1, same thing, 1 minute around a 12-ish pace is gunning for a 3:05. And our walk groups to kind of divide and conquer, anywhere between a 3:15 to a 3:30, perhaps even to a 3:45, okay? So if any of those, and I think one of the mistakes that everybody makes is they run too hard, and I'm going to explain why here in a moment. They run too hard on their long runs, okay? I had a guy, and he's in my marathon group now, who was in the 11-minute pace group. Listen to this, 11-minute pace group that ran a 1:48. He bypassed everybody in the 10:30 group, in the 10 group, even in the 9:30 group, right? Some of you in the 9s. He ultimately ran a low 8-minute pace, but trained in the 11-minute pace group, right? He was so aerobic during Saturdays that he was able to actually run hard on the times that it was run hard, okay? A lot of researchers, a lot of programs, including this one, all right, take what you were asked or what you want to run pace-wise on race day, all right, and I want to slow you down at least 60 seconds. At least. And if honestly you didn't have a whole lot of training underneath your belt prior to starting this program, maybe I even slow you down a little bit more. So if you're thinking to yourself, gosh, that's really slow, you're probably in the right group. Okay, I want you guys to be able to literally talk, sing, and I hope you don't want your money back, but I want the reaction after the first couple training sessions, because they are going to be rather shorter in distance, of course, relative to the longer ones at the end of the program. You're going to run a shorter distance at a much slower pace than maybe you're used to. So when you get done with that workout, I want you to think, gosh, I have a lot more in me. I barely broke a sweat. I want my money back. Okay, don't. There's a lot of physiological benefits that take place in our body when we train that slow. So pretty please, all right, stick to that training pace as much as we possibly can. Okay, so if you're looking at your pace group and you're looking at the table standard distances, start putting those two together, okay? I want to make sure that if you have a goal in mind, we are training perhaps for that goal. And it needs to be a realistic goal, but if you have that training goal in mind, I want to run an 8-minute mile on race day, you're probably going to be in the 9 or the 9:30 group, okay? I've trained thousands of runners. And let me tell you, the ones that adhere to and accept running slower, the ones that succeed. Okay, we're going to get into some physiological benefits as we go forward here, but I wanted to make sure that you guys realize that I do understand as a runner myself how that seems counterintuitive. I do understand as a runner myself how completely frustrating that might be right now. But as a coach, I want to tell you that sometimes medicine doesn't taste good, but it is oh so good for you. And one of the number one things that people don't do in terms of their running is run long and slow enough for their aerobic system to kick in place. So please adhere to that, all right? If you want to run a 10-minute group, I probably put you in the 11. For some of you guys who are veterans out there, and I've said this to the marathon group, if you are always in the 10:30 group, but you're not giving me that 204 effort. You're in the 215s or whatever the case may be. I slowed you down, all right? And again, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. So if you have, failed time and time again, and failed's a bad word, but perhaps didn't reach your goal, the number one thing in terms of an endurance event is to slow you on down on the long run, and that's most certainly what I did. Okay? All right, so we've perhaps got the pace groups and how they talk to the table of standard distance. You will also see this table of standard distance during the track. So again, if I'm in the 10:30 group, I might ask that you do some of your run walk intervals at a 5K pace. So if I look at the 10:30 table of standard distance, and you can look at yours specifically, I want you guys to come up to the row that has your 5K time. And in this instance, I'm at the 10:30 pace. My 5K time or my 5K pace is a 8:30 pace. So I might ask that you do 2 laps around the track at your 5K pace. Then you'll know that you want to do around an 8:30 pace during that time frame. So keep those table of standard distances very close. Either save a copy on your computer. This table of standard distance will be linked to all your track workout emails, or print one off and just keep it in a safe spot, because you will need to use those during the track workouts. Okay, so keep those very close. Pace groups explained, hopefully. The table of standard distances are explained. So let me now pull up and again, I'll talk about the half marathon, but the half marathon and the 10K training schedule are written very similar. Of course, the distances are just a little bit different. So let's look at this color-coded training schedule. I don't know if any of you, and I'm sure many of you, or some of you at least, do train by heart rate. So I'm going to speak in both terms of pace, and I'll speak also in terms of heart rate. That way, if you're following either one of them, hopefully you can read this training schedule as easily as possible. Now, my little commercial on heart rate training is, even though perhaps you don't train by heart rate, or meaning that you're just looking at on your watch, one of the things to remember is we're still training your heart to do cardiovascular activity. So whether or not you train by heart rate or train by pace, ultimately we are asking our bodies to do the same thing. The only difference is, in heart rate training, you are modifying your pace off of how your heart rate is responding. Versus if you train by pace, I might give you a pace and you'll complete that pace because your training schedule tells you to. But my question to you is that pace the pace that you need that particular day? And again, same thing. I'm trying to give your body that effort, all right, whether or not I'm speaking in pace or heart rate. Heart rate just makes it a little bit more individualized, or perhaps a little bit more customized to what your body needs that particular day. And what I mean by that is, we are not professional athletes here. We have stress from work. We have stress from kids. We have stress from our busy schedules. We have stress from sickness, whatever is in our life. Of course, we got a lot of that. Then heart rate literally gives us what we need that day. So the only difference between pace and heart rate is heart rate's a little bit more fluid. So if I give you a specific heart rate to follow a day, it might give you a 10:30 pace one day. It might give you an 8:30 pace one day. It might give you an 11 pace. Which one is incorrect? None of them. Okay, you are just responding to how your body is responding to the exercise placed upon it. You are not going to fail if your heart rate is telling you to run a certain pace that's slower than others. That's not failing. That's just telling you that it's having a hard time recover, perhaps from a hard track workout, from a sickness, or whatever the case may be. So if you have heart rate capabilities on your watch, my challenge to you is start looking at them. If you don't know what heart rate training or zones to be in, I would love to give you those particular zones. And I'll be emailing you a ton of emails this week, probably inundating your inboxes. But one of them is just to gain information from you on how to determine those heart rate zones. And I'd be happy to do that for you. Okay, so let's look at our training schedule. Let's start with Monday, and Wednesday is very similar, so we'll go ahead and talk about Wednesday too. You've noticed that those Monday and Wednesday categories are colored blue. or are in the EAS category here. And I'm sure that you guys have already looked at my legend, but the blue zone on our easy, probably too easy, all right, training runs. And EAS, I'm going to cuss one time. I hope that this is it. Our EAS runs are easy as shit, all right? And we did that simply to maybe perhaps get a giggle out of you. We did that because I feel like you can connect if you do go out and run. It's going to feel so easy, so much a waste of your time. You're going to feel like a pedestrian. And not only just one curse word might come out of your mouth, but a lot of other ones as you guys are going through your 35-minute run or run, walk, or walk tomorrow. So EAS, easy as ish. All right. And again, say all you want in terms of how easy it is. Those particular days are blue and easy. Let me tell you why. Those days are to recover your body. Okay. Now, day one tomorrow shouldn't be so bad because for a lot of you, all right, this is the first week, so our body does not have to recover from the weekend ahead. But our blue days on Monday and Wednesday, if you notice, are sandwiching our red day, our high intensity day, our hard anaerobic effort day. Okay, so our Monday workout is to knock the cobwebs off of your legs from the weekend in preparation for your Tuesday workout. Your Wednesday easy as ish runs are to recover from your red, hard anaerobic track effort. Okay, a lot of us don't necessarily alternate those high, low, fast, slow workouts. It's just a very monotone kind of day. Well, we place really high priority on our Tuesday track workouts. And for the most part, for a lot of you, that's the only day that you're really going to be able to go quote unquote hard or get huff and puff. All right. So my goal on Monday and Wednesday is to prep for and recover from your Tuesday workouts. I place Tuesday workouts on a very high pedestal. And I hope that you do too. I hope that you get them in. Okay. And a lot of people, to be honest with you, in terms of, oh, I don't do track workouts because they're too hard on my body. I get hurt while I'm doing them. I'm going to tell you, it's not usually from the track workout itself that is hurting you. It's how you prep for and how you recover from your work. Okay, and I'll go ahead and say that from every day. I don't think there is such a thing as overtraining. You hear about those overtraining injuries. All right, this is my philosophy, don't believe in overtraining. What I do believe in is under recovery, okay? Under recovery is not allowing ourselves, all right, a day to resaturate, refuel, replenish, restore our muscles. Okay, I don't necessarily think it's under training, it's under recovering, okay, or overtraining, it's under recovering. So those blue days, all right, is to hopefully separate and sandwich so you get the best effort on Tuesday and the most recovery from your Tuesday workouts, okay? Research shows that if you don't first, all right, have a really high, good, nutritious snack, 30 minutes post hard anaerobic work, it might take your body an additional 36 hours to recover from that anaerobic bout. Okay, many of us think that after a hard anaerobic bout, our body just goes and you get, all right, the effect of the track workout that you just did. Unfortunately, that's not the case. A lot of times it takes our body that 36 to 48 hours to recover from. Okay, and remember, working out, the whole idea behind working out is you break your body down to try to rebuild itself and hopefully not build itself to where it was, but even overcompensate from where it was to where now we want to go. All right, so in terms of the easy days, those days are to make sure that you have so much oxygen free flowing, right, through your muscles, through your blood, through your liver, so you can transport not only oxygen but nutrients and get some of those, oxidants out of your bloodstream, so you literally can recover from and hopefully over or super compensate from those days. All right, so you are doing yourself a huge disservice if you try to run by pace or run too fast on your Mondays and Wednesdays workouts. You should be lazy as ish. This is ridiculous. If you're looking at Garmin Connect, our heart rates are coded, and this is what and this is where these colors come from. If you guys are watching Garmin Connect, and I know lots of you guys that have Garmin's, if you have Fitbit, like I said, I'll give you, it's a zone 2 type of zone. I want you guys to stay in those zone 2 or blue, all right, color codes during your Monday and Wednesday workouts. It is so easy. And those are the recovery days, they're preparation days. Okay? All right. So moving on, we're going to skip over tracks. I'm going to explain that here in a bit. Thursday and Saturdays are our green days. Okay, actually, let's revert back. I'm going to say one more thing, and this is both for Wednesday and Thursday. So if you are training by pace, and I apologize for skipping over this, one of the misconceptions is that you cannot train any slower than the long run pace group that I gave you. So I keep using the 1030 pace group, so I'm going to keep on using it in this in this example as well. If I'm placed in the 1030 pace group, that does not mean that it is bad or I should not go any slower than 1030 pace. Okay, I'm just going to let you know, first of all, I am not in the shape I have been in the past, just because kids and all that kind of stuff. But let me tell you, I usually, if I'm running my long runs right now for both a half or marathon, I'm in the 9:30 or 10s, perhaps that will put me in that green zone. Some days on my blue or ease workouts, I might find myself in an 11-minute pace or 11:30. A running partner and I, again, a sub 4-hour marathoner, a good sub 4-hour marathoner. Her and I ran about a 12-minute pace on Thursday to make sure that we stayed in that group. So let me just say, on those easy recovery days, the blue days, or maybe even some of the green days if you had a long week, it is not unacceptable, all right, to run any slower than your long run pace. And again, if your body's telling you that's what you need, I hope that you would listen to it and just accept that those particular paces or what you need that particular day. Okay. So moving on, your Thursday and your Saturday runs are green. All right. Again, if you're using Garmin Connect, those are green. You or I want this best aerobic effort. I want you to stay aerobic during those particular workouts. They might not be quite as slow as your Monday and Wednesday workouts. These workouts, of course, if you're green on Saturdays, you guys are in the pace group. So, in this example, and why I thought about that, little tangent a moment ago, is if Thursday and Saturday are color-coded about the same, I would be most certainly pleased if you would just even stay at your long run pace on Thursday and Saturday. Monday, Wednesday might be a little bit slower than your long run pace, but I would be happy with Thursday and maybe even Saturday at your long run pace. All right. Those somewhat mimic the aerobic effort, but you're kind of putting it a little bit higher of a better aerobic effort on those particular days. So pace wise, Thursdays you should hit about your long run pace or green if you're watching heart rate. Now in this instance, if any of these days you're just not feeling it, movement is movement, guys. And so if you are going to make a mistake on any of those Mondays, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even Saturday workouts, is be too conservative instead of too aggressive. That's a great mistake to make because of any of these workouts. Remember how we said, you're training specifically for the end distance. These are your aerobic based workouts and definitely where obviously you're spending your most time in. And so moving on to Saturdays, a couple things I want you to notice. First, in the Bay Run and 15% of Orange or Race Pace, I want to tell you a few things. All right. First, research shows that it should be an 85% 15 split, right, in terms of overall how much time that you spend at or above, which means at or slower than your race pace, versus how much time you should spend at race pace or faster. So research shows it should be 85-15. 85 slower than or at your race pace, 15% faster than or at, that run and race pace. So on Saturdays, we're actually doing something a little bit different. The last 15% of any of our runs, and what I mean by any, I mean every Saturday run, we're going to do something a little bit more up-tempo. So I'm going to use 10 miles. We're going to get to 10 miles. I'm going to say 10 miles simply because it's easy math. But if your schedule says that we're running 10 miles on Saturday, then please expect the last mile and a half of those to be at race pace. And so like I said before, if I'm in the 10:30 pace group, I'm going to run 8.5 miles. I did quick math there. 8.5 miles at my long run 10:30 pace. And then 1.5 miles, I'm going to cut it to a 9:30 and see how I feel. Okay, 85-15. I realize that there's a lot of times where people are often questioning, if I run so slow during the week, how can I, run closer to race pace? Well, I most certainly will tell you, you can. However, what we're trying to do here by taking the last 15% of every one of our Saturday long runs is at the end, if you are able to run, 1.5 miles to 2 miles at the end of, let's say, a 12-miler, you will know how it feels to be that tired to hold that pace. So we're hoping that by doing this, you're kind of starting to bridge the gap between slow, and steady, and how perhaps so you can speed up on race day, as well as perhaps you can also start doing some strategy. If I'm running 12 miles and the last 2 of those 12 are at the pace, I'm really hoping to do 13 in a couple of weeks. If you crush it, man, that's going to be a great confidence booster. If you don't, maybe you and I should have a little bit of discussion on what you should expect or how we should combat the race itself. So the last 15% of every run is going to be at your race pace or about 60 seconds faster in pace than your long run. Okay? All right, so looking on Saturday also, that's where you'll find where we're going to be. Okay, so 4.5 miles at Creve Coeur Lake. The following week, we're going to be at Tower Grove, Francis Howe High, Queenie, Carondelet, Frontier, those sorts of things. I will email you guys out every Thursday the specific details. There are so many shelters at Creve Coeur Lake. We are meeting at the big one, but I'll give you some details in your Thursday email in terms of where exactly there should be the bathroom situation, which is hard in the winter time. I'm not going to lie to you. The bathroom situations, those sorts of things, so you can put them in your computer, put them in your phone, put them in your navigation, and get to where you want to go. Okay? All right, let's talk about red a little bit. Red is your track workouts. Red is the only day you should be in a huff puff type atmosphere. Those are the only days that should fit into this 15%. Right? Remember 85-15. 85% of your training schedule, Monday blue, Wednesday blue, Thursday green, Saturday green. 85 slower than your race pace. All right, maybe even the last 15%, and I didn't mention that, but if you're following heart rate, the last 15% in orange or race pace, that's kind of in that iffy. The only time that you should be out of breath or in these whole entire training season, especially for you newbies, is Tuesday. Tuesday's red, Tuesday's hard, Tuesday in some regards should be an anaerobic effort, okay? Now, as you guys are looking, we are doing a couple different distances on the track workouts. 1,600 meters is 1 mile. 1,200 meters is 3/4 of a mile. 800 meters, half mile. 400 meters, a quarter mile. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do those distances in an interval setting, where perhaps that you do 1,600 meters, 4 laps around the track, or 1 mile, which is all the same thing. I'll give you a specific pace to shoot for. Tuesday's workout is actually shooting 10-mile pace, so it shouldn't be too hard of an effort. So again, if I'm in the 10:30 pace group, I'm going to look at my table of standard distance. Where did it go on my computer here? My 10-mile pace, I'm in the 10:30 group. My 10-mile pace is about a 9:15. I'm going to run 1 mile at my 9:15 pace. I'll give you a specific rest period where you will stand around, maybe walk back and forth, get some water, maybe say hi to a friend or whatever the case may be, and then you're going to get back on the line and you'll go again. All right, so I will say that the pace groups form on the track just like pace groups do in the long run pace itself. All right, but 1,600 meters, and again, I'll give you more detailed explanation of the track workouts a little bit tomorrow, but a little bit of sneak peek would be, I'm going to give you a distance. 1,600 meters is going to be the exact same distance as week 1, week 2, and week 3. I'm going to give you a pace that you're going to hit, all right, and the pace might change week 1, week 2, and week 3. All right, I'll give you a rest period, how much time you should stand around during your rest break. All right, and then I'll give you guys kind of a whole idea of what we're trying to get that particular day. But use your table of standard distances to do so. Okay, so it is group. So if you're really nervous about coming out on the track, please don't be. All right, we've got a good mix of newbies and the veterans most certainly will help you. All right, again, if I'm in the 10:30 pace group, the coaches at the track, which is Barb Delgado, Nick During, and Andrew Gordon, will call out your pace group, so make sure you know which ones you'll be in. They'll also call out your specific pace they want you to hold. Just bring a watch, a Garmin, a headlamp, a bottle of water, be ready to roll, and the group will help guide you, all right, throughout the track distance. So let me say a few key points during this is the rest period of your track workouts. Really, really, really important. It's almost like a recipe. We give you a certain amount of each one of those ingredients. We ask that you bake it over a certain amount of time. We ask you to bake it at a certain temperature in hopes that the finished product is beautiful as it comes back out. So please don't only just pay attention to how far you're going, how fast you're going, but it's how far, how fast, how much rest, and how many times you're doing it. So please pay attention to those and place importance on all of them equally as you go along. So make sure and pay attention to that. In this regards, it's okay to let yourself get into that huff and puff. It's okay to get yourself kind of in that red zone. And again, I'll explain a little bit more about the track workouts in a video very similar to this come tomorrow. But I did want to get you guys out and get going that the Tuesday red days are one of perhaps the only red days that you have. Okay? Now, honestly, very weird talking into it, just looking at myself for the last 35 minutes or so. I realize there's questions, and talking to a group with the marathon as participants were raising their hands and asking questions was very interactive. I realize there might be questions. Please join Facebook. Please email me. Please come talk to me. I want to make sure that you guys understand this. I realize that we were cut the chance of asking those questions. So reach out to me via email. training@fleetfeetstlouis.com is the easiest way to get your questions answered. Watching these videos, watching Facebook Live will most certainly help distinguish what you should be doing. Follow heart rate. Answer any of those heart rate questions that I send to you out either tonight or tomorrow. They will help guide you way more than I can because it's telling you again what your workout is that day. The synopsis of this whole entire day, to be honest with you, Monday, Wednesday, run those so easy as ish. And again, cuss, scream, just slow down. I promise those days are recovery days. Those days are a day that your body actually preps again for and recovers from the distances that you have. So please. And my last different analogy too on those days, on those Mondays and Wednesdays days, one of the things I think is, and I say this every time, but so I'll go on and say it just one more time, is your body is a sponge, right? So think of this sponge underneath a faucet. So you turn the water on, the water soaks out into the sponge with a bucket. So follow my analogy here. As you turn the water on, water comes out. Water, in this analogy, is your training. Your body is a sponge. Okay, so if you turn your water on and you place a dry sponge underneath that water stream, that sponge is going to soak up water for a while, and not a whole lot of water is going to fall into the bucket underneath. Okay, but at some point, and this happens faster than you can realize, faster than you feel it, is that sponge, even though you don't feel that sponge being heavy, breaking down, that sponge is so saturated that it can no longer accept any more water that it is poured on top of it. So until you can take that sponge and wring it into a separate bucket and dry it out enough to place it back underneath that water, until you do that, your body, your sponge can no longer accept water, can no longer accept training. So on those blue days, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to wring out your sponge Monday from the hard weekend that you had, perhaps Wednesday from the hard track work that you had, perhaps. You're taking your body, you're wringing out your sponge. We hope then you can place your water back underneath the sponge and soak up the training that you placed on it. Okay, I just had a discussion with a really talented, nationally ranked athlete, and he said, man, I am so tired. He never doesn't work hard for me. But in this one he did. And I said, you know what, buddy? Until you take a good amount of rest break, your body is no longer soaking up that sponge. And so for him, he's like, well, I'm traveling next week, so I'll just take my rest break there. And my point to him was, that's fine. But until you wring out that sponge, all the workouts that you do next week are not going to count. They're not going to count. Your body can't accept them. Your body can't accept water. And as you can aware of, if your sponge soaks up too much water at some point, it breaks. It's too heavy. It falls apart. Have you noticed that sometimes you break, your body falls apart, it gets injured? Okay, so your Monday, Wednesday workouts are traditionally just wringing out the sponge days. Please do that. Thursday, Saturday, okay, those are your best aerobic effort days. Those are the days that you are going to try to stay in either your long run pace or your green zones. Track workout, red day, go hard, go huff puff. Okay, there is one more zone, and one more zone if you're following, let me get this back here. If you're following heart rates, one more day that I didn't, or one more zone, and that's in between this anaerobic threshold, or your orange zone if you're watching Garmin Connect. Okay, this is my last thought in my 45 minutes. I said I was going to stick it under 45 minutes. Your last zone, orange zone. Okay, a lot of people that I know now is calling your orange zone your no-no zone. Okay, some people call it kissing the lips of the orange devil. Okay, I know there's Orange Theory Fitness that does heart rate zones. They want you to be in orange. I do not. Why is, and I wanted to come up with this, is, anaerobic threshold, or that orange zone. If you're looking at your zones, round your race pace, if you're looking at that anaerobic threshold, if you know that, okay? That is easily said. For the amount of effort that you were putting forth into that orange zone, kind of hard efforts, not a whole lot of fitness is produced during that period of time. Okay, research now shows that 0 physiological benefits are coming into this orange zone, the normal race pace zones that you have, or what you are gunning for on race day. Remember, I'm in the 10:30 group, so that 9:30 pace, okay, you're not getting any fitness for that. You're getting very little fitness for that. On race day, you can do it, but I'm not thinking that you were really wanting a whole lot of fitness that day. The fitness that you gained happened in this 12 weeks, right, prior to your race. So on race day, you can do that. But my point is, why would you work out in zones if you're not going to get any fitness produced, if you're not going to get any physiological adaptations? All right? So in that, I can feel that huff puff, all right, but I can keep it for a while. Stay out of that zone. I want you guys to go hard. I want you guys to go easy. This middle zone is irrelevant for the most part, and I want you guys to stay out of it, okay? So no orange zone if you're watching heart rate. If you're interested in watching heart rate after doing this, and again, either tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to be sending out an email to fill out this form to tell you how I can help you establish great heart rate zones. If you are used to running a whole lot of race pace, I would call that your orange no-no zone, okay? If you're gunning for a 9-minute mile, that 9-minute mile, I wouldn't see it. If I were an athlete, and I am, I don't want to see that pace a whole lot. If I do, it needs to be very strategic, like the last 15% of all of our long runs. But outside of that, and any of the other training, I don't want to see it. If I'm not going to get fitness produced during it, why am I spending time in that? If I'm not going to learn anything in school or whatever the case may be, why are you going to do that? You need to make sure that you're getting something out of every workout. Right? Make every workout count. And again, long, slow may not be hard, but you're definitely getting fitness produced physiologically. And I hope that you trust the system and guide yourself through those. Okay? Again, ask us for questions. I hope this video helped. Please watch it if you guys are new ones. And again, you already watched it at the end for my plea, but I guess I should thank you for doing so at this point. We'll be here to help you guys. If anything else, just let us know, okay?